again. Yes, indeed.
These words echo a fear many have absorbed. Fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia.
Yeah, the broadcaster paused a segment on the Today programme after a guest calls Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick xenophobic over his stance on illegal immigration.
And all eyes are on Downing Street as any moment now Sir Keir Starmer will be greeting the President of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky. This is, of course, before the big summit tomorrow between Putin and Donald Trump.
Yes, in Alaska. And A-level results day. Thousands of students in England, Wales and Northern Ireland are opening their A and T-level results this morning. Good luck, everybody out there.
Well, here in Lichfield, they've had a 100% pass rate, a lot of happy faces, a lot of smiles and a lot of tears from mums and dads as well as students have been getting their results. We'll bring you some of their reaction.
And holiday inferno, at least 3 people have died and thousands have fled tourist hotspots in Greece while wildfires are raging across southern Europe too. We'll have the latest on that.
I've just spent 48 hours in northern France. I wanted to see what's going on up close.
I'm Robert, I'm from England. Why do you want to go to England?
And Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick posts a cinematic video of his experience observing migrants and people smugglers in northern France, although Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp pipped him to the post yesterday.
Patriotic, law-abiding, fair-minded, decent people who love Waterlooville, who love our country, have taken to peaceful protest to say enough is enough.
So that's the former Home Secretary Suella Braverman saying the scrapping of a plan to house asylum seekers in Waterlooville town centre is a victory for the British people. But we'll say this to Suella Braverman, where are they going to go then?
Indeed, and hook, line and stinker. Oh, see what we did there. Foreign Secretary David Lammy faces a £2,500 fine for fishing without licence with the US Vice President J.D. Vance.
Can I just say, I couldn't care less whether the Foreign Secretary had a licence to go fishing.
Not that you're going to carp on about it.
Well, honestly, are there more important things
joke.
for the Foreign... No, it was a bad joke. The Foreign Secretary's got more important things to worry about. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
Well, it was on private land as well, by the way.
We're just so over-regulated, aren't we?
He has issued an apology and now applied for a retrospective licence, which you can't do in any case. But it's just like, really, who cares? On the other side of things, though, Mr Pearce, I'm kind of glad he's distracted so the grown-ups can get on with the important stuff in the room.
Yeah.
Is that a bit mean? Possibly.
Well, he's not very bright, is he?
Well, I couldn't possibly say that.
Well, I can. I just did. Now, the BBC has dropped a Thought of the Day segment. Thought of the Day used to be an overtly Christian item in the Today programme. Started in 1939 as war dawned in Europe. Thank you. And now it features items from people of all faiths. And yesterday, it broadcast an item which has now been taken down because Chris Candlar, the founder of a refugee charity. By the way, the BBC didn't tell us he was the founder of a refugee charity.
No, they were a bit evasive about that.
Accused Robert Jenrick of xenophobia over his stance on illegal immigration. Take a listen.
A front-page story in the Mail on Sunday quoted Shadow Justice Minister Robert Jenrick talking about his fears for his young daughters. He said, "I certainly don't want my children to share a neighbourhood with men from backward countries who broke into Britain illegally and about whom we know next to nothing." These words echo a fear many have absorbed. Fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia.
So that was broadcast. Now, Thought of the Day is pre-recorded, so all sorts of people have heard it. It was broadcast, and after predictable protests from listeners and the Conservative Party and Robert Jenrick, the BBC took it down and then edited it before putting it back up with the offending sentence removed. Just to say, by the way, xenophobia is a posh word for racism.
Racism. That's exactly what he's saying. And basically, he was implying that everybody standing outside the migrant hotels or raising any issues with the huge number of young men we have coming into this country illegally across the Channel from cultures that don't share the same values as we do, certainly around women. If you are worried about that or concerned about that, you are posh word, xenophobic. The word we all understand, racist, basically. Sums it up.
Absolutely. Chris Hope is our political editor. This is a huge embarrassment for the BBC, Chris, and justification for Robert Jenrick, who wrote an article in the Mail on Sunday. I read the article in the Mail on Sunday. It was provocative. He talked about his teenage girls. He's worried about them because undocumented men, we don't know where they're from, are crossing the channel illegally, and they're in hostels. The day the BBC broadcast that appalling thought for the day, a second migrant from the Bell Hotel in Epping was in court.
Accused. Accused
of inappropriate behaviour.
Yeah, let's get back to that article on the Mail Sunday, page 1. It was challenging the government about choices. He was saying, I care about my daughters, their human rights. You care more about the human rights of migrants arriving here. Why are you risking their safety? Fast forward to the following day, Kenny Badenoch went to meet the mothers around the Bell Hotel in Epping, and they said how some don't want to go jogging in the park because they're worried about these young men now in the Bell Hotel and whether they might be harmed or threatened or anything at all. And then go forward to just yesterday on this Today programme, the BBC Radio 4 flagship news programme. They have this 2-minute slot called Thought for the Day. We have our daily reflection, very popular amongst viewers. As I say, it normally is a Christian thing, but I think it's going to other faiths recently on the BBC. And in it, this individual called Dr. Krish Kandia, he talked about these remarks by Robert Jenrick fueling the fear of a stranger. The technical name he said for this is xenophobia. That, of course, really annoyed Robert Jenrick, and I'm sure lots of GB News viewers too. But
with me.
Robert Jenrick replied on social media, listeners were told that if you're concerned about the threat of illegal migration to your kids, you're racist. He says, wrong, you're a good parent. And I think he's as ever with Robert Jenrick, he does do politics quite well in opposition, although record in government is questionable for all of them, I think. But he did challenge, and he's challenged the government, saying, who are you looking after? The taxpayers here, the mums and dads and the kids here, or these young men arriving by small boat. I should say he's been overnight for 48 hours in northern France, where he put a video up on his social media today, filming himself looking at around 50 migrants who he says were planning to cross to the English Channel. He then sat in a car watching them, according to the film, overnight at 4 in the morning, and woke up and they'd gone. So he did all the hard work without seeing them getting. Well, if they did get into boats, he didn't see it.
It's really, I mean, this is very annoying. I mean, it's not the first time the BBC have messed up recently. We all know, you know, Greg Wallace, John Torode, Hugh Edwards, Jermaine Genius. There's a very, very long list. But, I mean...
Gary Lineker.
Gary Lineker, obviously.
Let's not forget
the
that.
elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The words that annoyed me particularly with this are coming from Mr Kandaya. He said... Robert Jenrick's words echo a fear many have absorbed, fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia, which is fear of the stranger. People aren't scared of strangers.
No.
People are scared for their safety. People are scared about we don't know who these people are. And
strangers, I mean, if you're in this country, you know, the state knows who you are. If you're a criminal, you're in prison. Yeah. But the strangers driving there, there's 50,000 people arriving here who aren't vetted at all. We don't know any of their history.
And the French won't tell us if they've got a criminal record either.
Well, we don't know who they are. They've been their passport or documents on arrival. Exactly. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, said that he was threatened with a curved machete in one of the camps yesterday, live on GB News. He reported on GB News anyway. So we don't know. The strangers is a funny word because these are undocumented people arriving here. We have no idea who they are or any of their past. Even in the UK, a stranger is known by the state, and if they're a criminal, they're in prison.
And the word stranger is quite interesting, because remember, just a few weeks ago, Keir Starmer made a speech where he talked about this country becoming an island of strangers. Now, he subsequently apologised for those remarks, because he hadn't realised they echoed very strongly very similar words made by Enoch Powell in that very famous Rivers of Blood speech back in 1967. But the fact that the British Prime Minister, a Labour Prime Minister on the political left, used the word strangers, and yet we've got this guy on Thought for the Day, taxpayer.
I thought that speech hit the mark.
It did.
For a lot of our viewers and listeners.
Starmer?
Yes.
And then he withdrew it.
Well, 6 weeks later, I think he came after the issues he had in it with his with the attacks we can't talk about on his properties and things. So he was a bit shaken up. Possibly when he said they hadn't read it properly, he said, held up to the light. That's what he said. But I thought that speech was showed he got it. Yeah. The concern a lot of our viewers and listeners have. The BBC are, by the way, on the hook too for this. As I understand it, the script for Thought of the Day is vetted and read by a producer. Yeah. So they have read it and not picked it up. Well, it's not always. It can be done live.
Okay.
But the point is, the script is submitted in advance. So whether it's pre-recorded or read out live is almost irrelevant because the script itself is made by high-ups of the BBC, and it looks like that. That's
somebody at the BBC thought it was appropriate and proportionate for a contributor to Thought Today to accuse the Shadow Justice Secretary of being racist,
and that goes
raising concern about teenage daughters.
Half the concerns of the BBC, which I think we all love our BBC for the good things it does, but there was a feeling in there. There's a cultural issue here. They don't understand why that would be offensive.
I think we're going to go to Downing Street because Zelensky, the Ukrainian President Zelensky, is arriving in Downing Street. The Prime Minister will greet him at the door. This is talks ahead of the big summit in Alaska tomorrow between Trump.
So this is really important. This is basically Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, hugging. Look at that, hugging Volodymyr Zelensky, dressed in his army, his fatigues. He's obviously a leader of a country at war with Russia. This is Keir Starmer. It's putting himself as this bridge again between the European Union and Ukraine and America.
Coalition of the willing?
Yeah.
It was called that back in February at Lancaster House Agreement. So Keir Starmer on the left there, for viewers not on listeners on the radio, he wants to construct a coalition of the willing of EU countries to enforce and to ensure there's peace down that border.
They've gone straight into Downing Street because no chat with journalists, and I'm telling you there's not going to be one afterwards.
There's no press conference. That's the last we'll see of those two together. We probably will see Keir Starmer waving him off as he goes back to Kyiv. That is all for the cameras because that is showing Donald Trump that we are meant to be a key ally of America, and we are now side by side with.
And of course, Zelensky has just come from Germany, where he met the German Chancellor Scholz. Merz. These people going in now are officials who are associated with the Zelensky entourage.
So, Christopher, this is performative. This is sending a message to Trump. But is there an?
And the reason why he's doing it is because he's not asked to the talks tomorrow. So tomorrow's talks in Alaska are between Vladimir Putin on American soil with Donald Trump about Ukraine and probably other things too, but Ukraine is the main topic, and the guy who's the leader of that country isn't invited, and that's why he's here now.
And it's a big moment for Putin because it's effectively bringing him in from the diplomatic cold, setting foot on American soil.
First time in 8 years, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a big step.
And that's the worry, I think, because, of course, we are treating ourselves not quite at war with Russia, but we're behaving like they are an enemy state. We've sanctioned a lot of people around Putin, and now we're seeing Putin meeting on American soil tomorrow.
Christopher, if everything we've been led to believe, Alaska's natural resources, being open to Moscow, lifting some American sanctions, access to the rare earth minerals in Ukraine, if that's on the table for Russia, which, if we're led to believe that's what is going to be discussed tomorrow, then what is Ukraine getting out of it?
That's the question. I mean, also
at the end of
a ceasefire, the killing stops. The killing is obviously bad on both sides.
Now losing the war badly.
So in Donbass, the Donbass region is the one that it looks like could be on the table, has been given to Russia as part of this deal. That is unacceptable to Ukraine. Our position as the UK government, as of Monday, when we asked them about it, they said that nothing, and if it is acceptable to Ukraine, we'll agree to it, but otherwise we won't. And so we'll be hit with what's happening in that meeting right now is Keir Starmer is hearing, in his own words from Zelensky, what he will accept from the meeting tomorrow.
And we shouldn't forget that this government has committed to giving about £3 billion a year for the next 4 or 5 years. That's a lot of money, £15 billion. Do you think that would build?
That's the money. I mean,
160,000 houses.
Well, there's all that, and we haven't even gone towards the issue of the armed forces, schools. Exactly. I do.
I mean, I say to ministers, giving that money to Ukraine if the war ends.
I say to ministers that, we understand why we're protecting Zelensky, Ukraine, but make that argument more and more. It's not being made to the British people. I think it needs to be made to the British people. It is important. I mean, if I asked Keir Starmer back in February in Lancaster House, why are we involved in this? And he says, we know from history that we don't deal with problems in Europe early on. They wash up on our shores. That's the argument for it, but it needs to be made, I think, repeatedly by the government.
Meanwhile, America are making money out of this as well, aren't they?
Well, they want the rare earth.
Yeah, exactly. We get nothing. In any case, thank you very much,
Now,
Christopher Hope.
we were talking about the BBC's Thought for the Day and Robert Jenrick. There is a statement from the BBC which we must read, which says, while its reflection on fear in society from a faith perspective is broadly in line with expectations of Thought for the Day, some of the language it used went beyond that, and we apologise for its inclusion. Well, that's quite a direct apology of the BBC, because it's normally weasel words.
It is, but I mean, as I said, that was all approved by producers. There's lots of questions to be answered there.
Well, who approved it and why?
Indeed, yeah.
Now, up next.
Yes, it's a very nervy morning, isn't it? It's thousands of pupils getting their A-level results.
Do you remember the terror?
Yes, I do, yeah. What did you get?
I'd already started work. I was on the Gloucestershire Echo in Cheltenham. It was my third week at work. And the night before, I'd called from a call box a schoolmate, and I'd heard some of the results come through already. And they were terrible.
Oh, really?
And I was terrified, so I didn't get a wink seat. I got 3 Cs.
Oh, right. Well, mine is impossible to forget because it links into the story I was just talking about. I got BBC. Not that anyone's ever asked me since, and that was back in 1875.
Yeah, exactly. Queen Victoria was on the train,
yes,
of course
exactly.
she was. And what did you do your A-levels in?
English, geography and art.
Oh, art doesn't count.
I did very...
What are yours in?
Mine was English, economics and history.
Oh, what a bore.
Just goes to prove that they're not worth the paper they're written on.
No, art does count. Art's very, very important. But I just don't see you as very arty.
That's nonsense.
What did you get the C in? The D in? The C in?
I think it was art, probably, to be honest.
I was terrible at art. Absolutely terrible. I couldn't do any practical stuff. I was so bad at woodwork, I was thrown out after 1 year.
Yeah, well, no, woodwork. But the kids don't do woodwork anymore.
No.
We need more kids doing woodwork.
No. And metalwork, oh my God, technical drawing.
Embroidery. Did you do embroidery?
No, I'd prefer to have done cookery, but boys weren't allowed to in those days.
Really?
No.
Sorry, we're being nagged. Right, OK, we have to... we've got a clip coming up. Have a look.
Great. So surprised at the results, but so happy with it at the same time.
I basically just got all C's and B's, which is what I needed to get into Nottingham, so I'm very happy. And I just got the email and it was like, you've got in. I was like, OK, well, that's all I needed to hear, because even if my results weren't what I wanted, as long as I've got in, I'm really happy with that.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The summer heat wave continues across much of Europe, particularly inland France, Spain and Portugal, where we're likely to see temperatures in the mid to low 40s. And with these high temperatures, we are set to see plenty of sunshine, but slightly different story as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean. At times, this heat is likely to produce some quite heavy, if not thundery showers across parts of Italy. And that is set to continue over the weekend, and the hot temperatures are here to stay.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm especially glad to be joined by Mandy this morning. Mandy with me here. How are you finding the challenge so far, Mandy?
It's all right so far because it's not too hot.
Yeah, that's a tremendous relief. And you're a veteran yourself, but also a beneficiary of SAFA, Mandy.
I am, yeah. I served 12 years in the Royal Air Force. And then SAFA supported myself and my son when my husband took his own life.
Yeah, it's a tremendously sad story. Your husband, Chris, himself a veteran suffering from PTSD after a tour in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered for a long time. So in 21 years, he did 15 tours. I mean, the support we got, it wasn't just life-changing, it was life-saving, which was so important at the time. And SAFA, they were strong for me, which meant that I could be strong for our son.
Yeah, and your son now 17, he must be so proud of his father's memory and your service as well.
I think so. You know, we talk about his dad all the time, and it's very, very important that we keep his memory alive. So we're doing little things. So we've just got his name on a memorial wall at our local football club, which again is important because it shows Jamie that he'll always be remembered.
So beautiful. I think our viewers and listeners will be so touched by that. And as you're completing this march today, these 10 miles, you just saw some of the cadets behind us now. What are you thinking about as you make that march?
It's how many people come out to support the charity, which I think is so important, because without all our supporters, without our volunteers, you know, SAFA can't exist. And SAFA are there when people need them the most, and that needs to be able to continue. So without things like this and everyone supporting us, it won't.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Should I do this? Hello, it is 9:50 and this is Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Andrew and Dawn.
It is that moment for tens of thousands of students.
Yes.
They are
Our
opening
kids.
their A-levels, their T-levels and BTEC results as we speak.
Yeah,
it's going to be terrible for some, but for most we hope it's going to be good.
You never forget, to be fair. UCAS has confirmed record numbers of 18-year-olds will be celebrating today after getting a place at university or college.
More than 10,000 students are going to be heading to university in September compared to last year. How many of them, though, more this year will be going into apprenticeships? Because I think they are a very, very noble trade.
Well, I mean,
and we should encourage more people to go into apprenticeships. You're going to be in work for the rest of your life.
But then we did that. I learnt making cups of tea.
Well, that's not an apprenticeship.
Well, it was. Was it on a news floor making cups of tea? I'd still make tea very badly.
Yeah.
OK, let's go
We wouldn't know that because you never made any here.
No, shut up, waffling. OK, let's go to Jack Carson, GBNews national reporter now, live from Lichfield Cathedral School. Jack, come on, excitement here. How are they doing?
Well, we've got some students, Rebecca and Jake join us now. So, shall we open the results? Shall we do that? Go on then. Envelopes in hand. Right. Shall we go through results? What have we got?
I got 3 A's. So yeah, very happy about that.
3 A's. 3 A's. I wish I had 3 A's. And Rebecca?
3 B's.
3 B's. So what are the feelings now? You know, you've got such good results, both of you. What are you feeling now?
I'm delighted. You know, it's all the work I put in's paid off. So I'm really happy about that. You know, it's been a nervous, couple of days waiting for these results, but just to see the end result, I'm so happy about it.
Yeah, Rebecca, how are you?
Yes, I'm honestly relieved. To be honest, it's been such a big build-up, but I'm just happy to have got where I wanted to go. So.
And what's next for you now? Is it university, is it an apprenticeship? What are you off to do next?
No, I'm got accepted at Birmingham University to study business management. So yeah, really happy about that. I'm just really looking forward to getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being confirmed at University of Warwick for English and French. So.
You're doing a double.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that? You know, there must be a lot of work ahead for you.
Yeah, and I've got obviously 2 subjects on the go, but I think it'll be good. I think they'll complement each other well, so I'm looking forward to it.
And just quickly, what's the last kind of couple of years been like studying? Because these exams seem to get harder every year.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of revision, doing past papers, stuff like that. But no, it's been enjoyable. I've really enjoyed the last 2 years. It's been nice to study just like 3 subjects and study what I want to do in the future. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I definitely enjoyed my A-levels a lot more to my GCSEs, just studying what you want to do, and it just makes the whole revision and everything that bit more enjoyable. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you both for joining us, and congratulations for your excellent results. I'll let you go off and rejoin your mum and dad now. Thank you both for joining us. Very happy smiles on the faces of those two there, and lots of happy smiles all morning. This school here, they've had a 100% pass rate, so a really successful day for everyone here.
Thanks, Jack. That's good news.
Oh, I love it,
pass
yeah.
rate. Great up, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I really do. And well done to. I mean, it is incredibly stressful, not just for the kids doing it, but for families
For
as
mum
well.
and dad, well, they'll be relieved it's all over, because you
yeah,
imagine all the dramas. And, of course, now they've got the next stage of their lives, university. Let's hope they get to have proper face-to-face tuition, because I don't think online tuition is the same.
No, I think, yeah.
And I speak as one who didn't go to university. You're listening to Andrew and Dawn. Still ahead, we'll have the latest on the wildfires raging through British hotspots. But let's have the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, Hi there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Any early showers across the southeast, soon easing away, but some thundery downpours expected across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. But for all, it is set to be another warm day ahead. Now, a Met Office yellow thunderstorm warning has been issued across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. We could see some quite heavy downpours here, some thundery downpours with some frequent lightning and also some hail. So do keep an eye out on the forecast for here. But elsewhere, we'll start to see some cloudier skies across Wales, central parts of England, the best of the sunshine across the southeast, where we'll reach highs of around 29 degrees Celsius. Into the evening, some of these heavy thundery showers could persist for a while, particularly across the far northeast of Scotland as they move their way into the Northern Isles, starting to turn quite cloudy too, particularly around coastal areas. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern part of England, still a chance we could see some thundery showers here. They won't really ease away until through the course of the night. But elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be a mostly dry and pleasant end to the day, particularly across the south where we'll see mostly clear skies. It is set to be another quite mild and muggy night though, particularly once again across southern areas. Many towns and cities not really dropping much past the mid to high teens. And something else we'll notice as we head further into the morning is that we're starting to drag in some low cloud across the north, starting to move into parts of Scotland, northern parts of England. A chance we could see some mist and fog across central areas. So it may be a little bit of a murky start and mild start to the day too. Then into Friday to finish off the week. Once again, some low cloud, eventually lifting and breaking, but it may linger for a time, particularly across the northeast of Scotland, northeastern parts of England, where it may just be thick enough to produce some showers. But in the west, central areas of England and parts of the southeast, plenty of sunshine and temperatures up by a degree or two once again, highs reaching around 31, but much cooler under cloudier skies.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A82 is closed between Balcragan and Drumnadrochit due to an incident requiring alternate routes. In Warwickshire, a vehicle fire on the M6 southbound between junctions 4 and 3 has shut all lanes. The M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 27 and 26 in Essex is delayed due to a collision with one lane obstructed. Traffic on the A4232 southbound from M4 junction 33 to A48 interchange is congested, so extend travel time. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway has buses replacing trains between Boston and Skegness. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 3 weeks to see how you can win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it is, what time is it, Andrew? It's 10 o'clock on Thursday, the 14th of August, live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with him, Andrew Pearce, and me, Dawn Neeson.
You need to move the autocue.
Oh, OK.
The BBC, guess what? It's in hot water all over again.
These words echo a fear many have absorbed. Fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia.
So the BBC's pulled that segment on the Today programme after that guest called the Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick xenophobic, posh word for racist, let's be honest, over his stance on illegal immigration. For writing in the Mail on Sunday, he fears for his children about all these young men pouring into Britain, and we don't know who they are.
Perish thought you worry about the safety of your daughters. Yeah. In any case, A-level results day. Thousands of students in England, Wales and Northern Ireland are opening their A and T level results this morning. Good luck, everybody.
Well, there's been a lot of happy faces here. This school where I am in Lichfield has had a 100% pass rate. Around the country, there's a 28.3% pass rate with A star or A. So a lot of happy faces for the hundreds of thousands of students getting their results today.
I've just spent 48 hours in northern France. I wanted to see what's going on up close.
I'm Robert. I'm from England. Why do you want to go to England?
And Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick posts a cinematic video of his experience observing migrants and people smugglers in northern France. Although Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp sort of pipped him to the post yesterday. Ouch.
Anybody think there was a Tory leadership contest underway?
The second Tory cabinet minister is in northern France over the past few days. Robert Jenrick this time, he's pelted with bottles, but he loses 50 migrants he was following.
And Sir Keir Starmer has welcomed the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, to number 10 Downing Street this morning. We are about to pledge billions more of taxpayers' money to Ukraine. Oh, ouch.
And holiday inferno, at least 3 people have died as thousands have fled tourist hotspots in Greece. Wildfires are raging across other parts of southern Europe. We'll have the latest.
Japan has today surrendered. The last of our enemies is laid low. Let us thank God for this great deliverance and his mercies. Long live the King.
And at midnight on the 15th of August 1945, British Prime Minister Clement Attlee announced victory over Japan, marking the end of the Second World War. We'll celebrate our veterans ahead of VJ Day tomorrow.
And hook, line and get this, stinker. The Foreign Secretary David Lammy's in trouble. He faces a fine of up to £2,500 for fishing without a licence with US Vice President JD Vance, even though it was on private land.
So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your company this morning. Really, really appreciate it. We love talking to you. So get your views coming in, gbnews.com/your say. But we are covering the really important stories this morning.
Big story, the demise of the British pudding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because evidently none of us now are cooking the traditional hot puddings we used to have as children at home anymore.
Sticky toffee pudding, apple crumble, rhubarb crumble, very popular.
Sponge treacle.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We want to know what your favourite pudding is, whether you're still making it or whether it was one you used to enjoy perhaps as a child.
And do you have it? And do you have the custard? Make the custard at home?
Custard.
Evidently, I mean, youngsters aren't doing this now. They're having trendier cold desserts. They're less effort. But
did you used to have Angel Delight on Sunday night tea?
Oh God, yeah. The one time when my mum was in hospital and Dad was in charge of me and my sister, it was like tins of beans, literally from a tin, and Angel Delight. That was Dad's culinary skills. We really enjoyed it. But anyway, let us know what your favourite dessert was, and we'll also be discussing why can't you call it spotted dick anymore. Evidently you can't. Any case, keep those comments coming in, but first let's get the news with Sam Francis.
Dawn, Andrew, thank you very much, and good morning to you. Just coming up to 5 minutes past 10. Well, Sir Keir Starmer has rolled out the red carpet for Volodymyr Zelensky at Downing Street as Europe is bracing for Donald Trump's high-stakes meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday. That takes place in Alaska. The Prime Minister said Britain stands ready to increase pressure on Russia if it rejects a ceasefire, with further sanctions already being prepared. He also praised Mr Trump for creating what he described as a viable chance to end the war, but reiterated that talks on Ukraine's future shouldn't happen without its involvement. Trump has threatened very severe consequences if Putin rejects a ceasefire.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
In other news, hundreds of thousands of students across England, Wales and Northern Ireland are finding out their A-level, T-level, BTEC, national and other Level 3 results today, with many learning they've made it into their top pick for university. UCAS says a record 226,580 18-year-olds have secured their first or firm choice, up nearly 10,000 from last year. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says the results show a steadying of the ship after the pandemic. UCAS chief Dr Joe Saxton also added that the universities are especially keen to enrol UK students this year amid uncertainty over international numbers. The UK economy has grown by 0.3% between April and June, slower than the first quarter but still stronger than expected, according to official ONS figures this morning. Growth was driven by a rise in services and a boost in construction, while production fell. The Chancellor Rachel Reeves says the UK is the fastest growing economy in the G7 for the first half of this year and says the numbers are encouraging.
Today's numbers show that the economy beat expectations in the second quarter of this year. We are the fastest growing economy in the G7 for the first half of this year, with a GDP growth of 0.3% this quarter, and that's after GDP growth of 0.7% the quarter before that. Look, I recognise there's still more to do to make sure that people in all parts of the country benefit from that growth.
And it wouldn't be a news bulletin without an update, of course, on the weather. The Met Office has issued yet another yellow alert, this time for thunderstorms for northern Scotland until 10 p.m. tonight, with flood warnings also in place as the UK is enduring its fourth heat wave of the summer. Heat health alerts have been extended into next week for much of England, covering regions from Yorkshire to London and the southwest. Officials, though, warn England is also facing a nationally significant water shortfall, with parts of the country still in drought. Those are the latest headlines just after 10 o'clock. I'll be back in half an hour. Now, though, it's over to Andrew and Dawn.
Thank you very much, Sam. Hello and welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce, that's him hiding behind the paper, and me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you for your company this morning. What are you doing?
I was just checking who at the BBC signed off that appalling
OK, yeah, that is
day.
pretty annoying.
And normally, traditionally, it is a man called Tim Pemberton, who's the head of BBC Religion and Ethics at BBC Audio North. He's supposed to be the final approver on the scripts. A request has gone into the BBC to say who signed it off, because whoever did screwed up.
How did they not see that coming? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like...
If he'd used the word racist, it wouldn't have got through. But because he used the word xenophobic, it did.
That's OK. That's right. Racist.
And I looked up the Oxford Dictionary definition of xenophobia: dislike or prejudice against people from other countries.
Yeah.
Foreigners.
Yeah, foreigners, strangers, basically.
Yeah.
It's an ancient Greek term.
It's racism.
Yeah.
It's just a posh word.
It's basic. It boils down to racism, basically. And they're implying that if you are worried about people coming across illegally who may have a different cultural view about women and girls, then that makes you xenophobic.
And Robert Jenrick, of course, can't keep out the news because he's accused French police of failing to act after reporting dozens of migrants with life jackets preparing to cross the channel.
Yeah, in a video shared online by the Shadow Justice Secretary, he films his time visiting migrant camps where he is also attacked with glass bottles. Have a look.
I've just spent 48 hours in northern France. I wanted to see what's going on up close.
We've been in and around this beach now for a couple of hours and we haven't seen any police present. Zero, zilch.
It's just after 4 o'clock in the morning. We know that the migrants are just over there. At daybreak, we find the migrants have gone. We don't know where. There's still no sign of any police. So I ring them.
I'm in Dunkirk and I saw a large group of 40 or 50 illegal migrants in the cemetery off the main road by the beach.
He doesn't think that they are going to come, but he's going to give the information to the police. Then the police will decide.
OK, let's get more on this one with political editor Christopher Hope, who's putting some kind of strange faces in the corner there, if you don't mind me saying, Christopher. Do we have any politicians left in this country, or they're all on beaches in France at the moment?
Yeah, the second one in 2 days. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, he was there yesterday reporting or coming on to GBNews straight after leaving one of the camps when he said that a curved machete was pulled on him. We didn't see any footage of that, but he told us that. It is certainly dangerous in these camps. We know from Patrick Christis, our colleague, reporting from there.
Well, he was there first, wasn't he?
He was there first, of course. Robert Jenrick going there too. You might wonder why neither of these two politicians who hold senior roles in the in our government, having power, why didn't they make the effort to go out to the camps when they were ministers? That never happened. They're now doing it as opposition MPs. OK, fair enough. Robert Jenrick there, he said that in the time he was there from Saturday to Monday, 1,190 migrants crossed the Channel. And he said on social media, is any surprise when this is how easy the French make it to break in? Britain's being scammed. I should say he followed 50 migrants there and then lost them. So it might...
Did he fall asleep? Did he fall asleep on the job?
Yeah. Well, we know how hard it is being a reporter on a stakeout. And you've all been there, of course.
Exactly, we have.
We have to have a snooze at some point. We don't know if that was the case. He was watching a bush or where they were. When he woke up, they had vanished, gone. We don't know if they went across to the UK or they came back. You know, to give him his credit, he is doing the work. He's trying to find them, and it's a very big beach.
And he's raising awareness.
So let's not be too funny about it with him. He's trying his best to show it as an issue. But of course, I should say, yesterday, Labour were very cross about the Chris Philp stunt, and they made very clear they think this has got the brass neck of Chris Philp. He was immigration minister for a lot of the time when the small boats increased.
Look, they're in
why didn't he stop it?
They're in opposition. They can bang on. I heard Diane. What was the police minister doing the broadcast?
Dame Diana Johnson.
Dame Diana Johnson saying it's not our fault.
That might have been Jackie Smith, actually.
Maybe it was Jackie Smith.
Jackie,
But the number of migrants, the 50,000 was reached in 400 days under Starmer. When Boris was Prime Minister, it took over 1,000 days for 50,000 migrants. It's got much worse under this
And
lot.
some would say it's because there's no deterrent, because when you come here, we've been detailing on GBNews the benefits you get from arriving here. You get a hotel room, you get some money, you get all sorts of things which many people would wonder why on earth we're paying for that. And so the pull factors are strong. And if you're paying 1,500 quid to come across and you get that, you pay that off after a few
And of course,
few
one
weeks.
of the big pull factors is the English language.
Yeah.
It really is.
And also have no ID card requirement here.
Exactly.
Which
and
is
a
whole
lot of
different
people
issue.
we know have disappeared into the black
economy, which can be...
With the English language thing, if they're coming here because they speak English, why are we paying so many millions in translators for them?
There is that.
Just a moot point. Mr Hope, thank you very much.
Chris,
Always
stay with
a
us.
pleasure.
Yeah, very good.
OK, moving on, the BBC has pulled a Thought for the Day radio segment after a guest accused Robert Jenrick, yes, him again, of xenophobia over his views on illegal immigration.
So the charity... Sorry, carry on.
Go on, as I say, charity boss Krish Kandiah claimed the Shadow Justice Secretary was fuelling fear of the stranger, but the BBC has now apologised and edited the segment after a backlash. Have a listen, though.
A front-page story in the Mail on Sunday quoted Shadow Justice Minister Robert Jenrick talking about his fears for his young daughters. He said, "I certainly don't want my children to share a neighbourhood with men from backward countries who broke into Britain illegally and about whom we know next to nothing." These words echo a fear many have absorbed, fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia.
So Robert Jenrick responded saying, if you're concerned about the risk of illegal migration to your kids, then you're simply a good parent, denying that he's xenophobic. Well, let's speak to the veteran broadcaster and writer Michael Crick. Michael, morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you? All well?
I'm very well, thanks, yeah.
Thank you. So the BBC has withdrawn this segment, edited it and apologised. Were they right to do so?
Yes, and it should never have been allowed to go out. I've always thought that Thought for the Day is a bit of a minefield and is going to cause the BBC... In fact, I'm surprised it hasn't caused the BBC more problems in the past, particularly as it goes out live. And I don't know quite how it works. It operates independently from the Today programme. It's a bit of an anomaly that, you know, has lasted since the days when the BBC used to do a lot more religious output. But contributors tend to be left of centre, and, you know, quite often they express left of centre views, which I think is wrong for a broadcaster that is meant to be neutral and balanced and impartial. And if you know, and if they're going to have contributors who express left of centre views, then they should be balanced by people on the other side, which they don't have. So quite what's gone wrong here, I don't know. Maybe senior people were away for the summer and there were more inexperienced people in charge. Having said all that, I mean, I agree with a lot of the sentiments of Chris Candia and what he said in his broadcast. I think there is a xenophobic, more than a tinge, to a lot of what some politicians are saying, and indeed some broadcasters, including on your own channel. I had to admonish one of your colleagues the other day for being xenophobic in a rant that he was delivering on a programme that I was on, and I think you see the same on Talk TV as well. And I think this is dangerous. We don't see the other side. You know, the fact that places where most of these migrants are coming from right now are the sort of places that if you or I were living there, we too would want to escape and go to the West, and probably to Britain.
But this is Michael, this is the BBC. It is the public service broadcaster. It is paid for through the licence paid. They have to be judged very, very scrupulously. And to use the word xenophobic, you know what the word xenophobic means. It's racist. That's what he was saying. He was accusing the Shadow Justice Secretary of being racist for having the temerity.
Well, actually, I quarrel with you. I mean, this is a semantic point, but I think there is a difference between xenophobia and racism. Okay. Racism is dislike of somebody according to their ethnic background, whereas xenophobia is a dislike of people because they are foreigners and from abroad. Yeah. And after all, a lot of people who are from abroad are the same race as us. So there is a difference there. But and I think, as I say, I think that was wrong, and I think the BBC should have spotted it before it went out. If indeed they could have done. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, that Candia changed his script in between it being vetted and it being broadcast. We don't know about that. But it is wrong, and the BBC shouldn't have done it. And I have long been concerned, and to a degree campaigned against, bias in broadcasting for a long time, and that includes bias on GB News, because I think it's outrageous the way Ofcom, and I've said this many times on your channel, Ofcom lets you get away with murder.
What do you mean gets away with murder, Michael? Come on, that's ridiculous. What do you mean lets us
I don't mean literally murder, but in terms of your bias, I mean, you know, of your I mean, how many members? Here's a quiz question for you: how many members of the Reform Parliamentary Party over the last 12 months have been GB News presenters? 3. Which other party has half of its presenters on GB News?
Well, hang on.
How many of your presenters
hang on. Well, let's answer the question, Michael. Michael, we've got Miriam Cates on this channel. She's a former Tory MP. We've got Jacob Rees-Mogg on this channel. He's a former Tory MP.
Right of centre, right of centre.
Gloria De Piero.
There's not many left-wingers left on your channel.
Hang on, Michael.
Ofcom should have cracked down on this.
Hang on, Michael. Gloria De Piero is a presenter here. She's a former Labour MP. We are a broad church.
Well, that's
I would say people listening
you can list about 20 right-wing presenters and there may be 1 or 2 left-wing presenters, and you often get debates a bit like this one, where there's 2 of you against somebody expressing well, I'm not even left of centre myself, I'm a centrist. But so expressing an alternative view,
Michael, I mean,
there's often out there on programmes, I'm up against three people.
You need someone holding your hand, Michael.
And it's not fair. And you're a propaganda channel, not a news channel. Same as Talk.
Well, that's not fair.
Ofcom should have done something about this. But that's a different matter. We're not discussing that really. We're discussing.
Well, I would push back on the fact we're propaganda. The BBC, I would say, is propaganda. I would say it's left of centre, and it churns out a left of centre bias all the time, which is why its viewing figures and listening figures are falling.
Well, I think that there has been a problem in the past with some of the programmes it's done and some of the presenters it's had, but I think it's actually dealt with a lot of that recently. And I think that Thought for the Day is a remaining problem. But it's nothing like the difference between you and the BBC is that you as a channel and Talk want to change people's minds in a certain direction. The BBC doesn't want to change people's minds in a certain direction.
Actually, Michael,
if there is bias on the BBC, I think it's largely inadvertent.
Michael,
in your case,
Michael, actually, sorry, the difference is that you are funded, or the BBC are funded by the British taxpayer. GB News isn't.
I appreciate that, and so therefore the BBC does have to be more careful.
It does.
But on the other hand, I've been a broadcaster 45 years, and we all have to operate under Ofcom, who basically have gone to sleep on the job. They're incompetent. They've no longer got any decent leadership. And they've changed the rules
Michael Grade is a very
for channels like you without any public debate.
Michael Grade is one of the most distinguished broadcasters in modern Britain, and he's the head of Ofcom.
That's a tragedy.
And he is the head of Ofcom. He's a very,
he's allowed this to slip
with a blue chip career in broadcasting.
Sorry?
He's had an extraordinary career in broadcasting, Michael Grade.
Well, he has had an extraordinary career in broadcasting, but he has let broadcasters down with his leadership of Ofcom, it's time for him to go.
Oh, right. Well, that's interesting. Just tell me before we let you go, Michael.
And Melanie Dawes, the chief executive.
Right. Well, she's a former civil servant, of course, too, a very senior civil servant.
I know, but she's. I mean, admittedly, Ofcom have got lots of other really important things to think about, like social media and so on.
Sure.
And therefore, and it's probably understaffed and probably can't employ enough people. Nonetheless, all sorts of things go on nowadays on channels like yours and Talk, which we would never have got away with in the past, in my days.
Michael, I just want to ask you a very one question, getting back to the story we are talking about. Robert Jenrick was talking about the safety of his daughters. Do you accept that being concerned about people from incompatible cultural countries coming over here it's a right to be concerned about? That doesn't make you xenophobic or racist?
Well, you might be xenophobic or racist if you hold those views, or you might not.
About the safety of your daughters.
I think you've got to be very careful. You've got to be very careful if you're a politician or a broadcaster or a journalist, not to stir things up, not to give fuel for fascists, basically, or for racists.
How is talking about the safety of your daughters from men who are from backward cultures with regards to women? How is that?
I know he is, but some of this language
stirring up hatred?
Some of this language, I think, is a bit insensitive, and you need to be a bit more careful about it. We've heard a lot about a tinderbox this summer. Fortunately, we haven't had the kind of what we saw last summer in Southport, and it doesn't look like happening, as we're now halfway through August, so it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But I do think politicians and broadcasters have a duty to use careful language on this and not give encouragement to the nasties who want to basically be violent.
And you should apply that rule too to the presenters of Thought for the Day, Michael.
Well, I don't think that Chris Kandiar was trying to he should have been careful in his language, yes. I'm not sure that his language is likely to create a riot. You may disagree with me.
All right, Michael, always good to talk to you. That's the broadcaster and writer, Michael Grip. We've got a statement from the BBC, which we will read, of course. It says, while its reflection on fear in society from a faith perspective is broadly in line with expectations of Thought for the Day,
some of the language it used went beyond that, and we apologise for its inclusion.
Up next, UEFA, which is the Union of European Football Association, has displayed a Stop Killing Children banner at the PSG versus Tottenham Super Cup. How do you feel about that? They're talking about Israel, of course.
Yes, indeed. This is Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning show on GB News. Danke sehr.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What if, but it's gone.
The whole of the community is so sad, and they're slowly getting angry now.
We're going to fight every corner we can to get justice for what's happened here.
2 years ago, a community was in grief. Today, they're more determined than ever. When the Crooked House was gutted by a suspected arson attack and then illegally demolished, the people of the Black Country felt like it was a blitz on their history. Originally built in the 18th century, the pub suffered subsidence because of mining in the area, giving its unique appearance that visitors fell in love with. In February last year, South Staffordshire Council served an enforcement order on the owners ATE Farms, ordering them to rebuild the pub within 3 years. After appealing the order and a subsequent decision from the High Court, the planning enforcement inquiry will have to wait until any potential criminal proceedings have concluded. Investigations by the police are ongoing. For the campaigners who want to see this landmark rebuilt, the passion is only stronger, as Paul Turner from Save the Crooked House explains.
Well, we all felt it was ours, we're Black Country people. We felt that, this is our area, this is our iconic pub, this is so people come from miles around and from all over the world. All of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. We were always very proud of it. Although it's had different owners over the years, it was always ours as a community. Got a lot to think about if the Crooked House is ever going to be built. There's lots of legal issues. The site isn't ours. We can't rebuild the Crooked House, so it's very, very complicated legally. But we know what our end goal is, and how we actually get to that end goal is going to be a little bit complicated. But that's we're still focusing on that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hello, welcome back. It is 10:27. This is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Dawn. We are joined now, by broadcaster and journalist Karen Malone and political commentator Jonathan List. Thank you very much for joining us today. Right, the story that everyone is talking about online. Not the football last night. PSG beat Spurs. Sorry, Spurs. They did, that was the result. But it's not that that's caught the attention, is it, Jonathan?
No, it's the banner, "Stop killing children, stop killing civilians," which...
Now, the banner wasn't put up by fans. This was put up by the Football Association.
Yeah, it was on the pitch itself. And I think that we have to say this came a couple of days after UEFA sort of tweeted out a tribute to a Palestinian footballer who had died. And Mo Salah, the footballing legend, tweeted, how did he die, why did he die, where, etc. Obviously, he'd been killed by the Israelis, and that went super viral. And so I wonder.
Not obviously, actually, we don't know.
Exactly.
Well, he was killed by the Israelis.
Do we know that?
I think it was fairly well acknowledged that he had been killed in a strike. Right. And so this is possibly in context of that. And there's been a huge backlash to this, where people have been saying this is Jew hatred. Now, I find that completely extraordinary. What does that say? I mean, if you're saying that, actually, I don't think that you're necessarily advocating for Judaism by implying that somehow it's anti-Semitic to oppose killing children. It's not a tenet of Judaism to kill children. I say this as a Jewish person myself, I find that quite offensive.
Why didn't they say, and release the hostages?
Because
in the same message.
Because you don't always have to both sides things.
Well, there is both sides. There's only one side here.
Of course, you should release.
This is an attack on Israel.
Of course, you should release the hostages. Everyone.
Well, why don't they say that?
But it's an immediate. What is happening at the moment is the mass starvation of an entire population, and so the killing of tens of thousands of civilians. This is not an attack. This is not sort of targeted attacks on Hamas. This is an attack on the entire population of Gaza, and it has to be called out.
So the Football Association took one side of this argument.
UEFA's own rules say it should not make political statements, and so they have made a political statement. And it's a particular political statement. I wonder if they would have put out some kind of banner which would have said, decrying what happened on October the 7th and the torture, the murder and the rape of women and children. But they haven't done that. They're being very specific in what they're doing. So there they are taking a side and being political, and that is not their job to do that. And you're talking about aid trucks, about people being starved. Just the other day, big story. 8 trucks were hijacked by Hamas.
By gangs. By gangs.
No, they were stop it. They were
hijacked by gangs that actually have links to Israel in some cases.
So even when the facts are there, you won't.
No, because that's the allegation.
Hamas are starving there. You've just had a lot to say, Jonathan. So let me have my say. The story was out there the other day. It was verified, and those trucks were hijacked by Hamas. So it's Hamas that is starving its own people.
Well, the allegation that Hamas is depriving, and this is not. Look, I'm not apologising to Hamas in any way. Well, I'm not. But also, there are certain things called facts and evidence, and even Israeli officials have said that there is no evidence of a widespread sort of stealing of aid. It is Israel that is stopping the aid from coming.
Where have they said that? Tell me where
people have been saying every single study says that it is Israel, and all the aid agencies saying that it's Israel that is stopping aid.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Is it really the job of the police minister to tell shops where to put expensive items in those shops?
And then you're referring to this woman called Dame Diana. What's she called?
She's the Police and Crime Prevention Minister. What an outrage!
Yeah, and the day before there was another Police and Crime Commissioner in Thames Valley who was actually saying that members of the public who don't stop shoplifters are part of the problem.
That's right.
That is absolute nonsense. How dare they? We have 148,000 police officers in this country, 30,000 more than 4 years ago. So what the hell are they doing all day long if they're expecting us to put ourselves in the way of physical harm? I was talking to a woman yesterday on telly. She was a caller on something, and she tried to stop a shoplifter, and she got stabbed. Well, that's what's going to happen to people. You know, it is appalling.
And this minister says don't have expensive stuff near the shop door.
And
outrageous.
And you know the thing about that is, and the word she used was, or people will nick it. Nick it is a really silly word because it suggests it's just a little problem. Last year, shoplifting cost 2.2 billion, cost retailers 2.2 billion. Many of them are going out of business, and we have people like this who clearly don't understand the problem, who don't realise how serious it is, that retailers are going out of business, and they're asking us to put...
OK, Carol, Jonathan, we'll be seeing you again next hour, but now it's time for your 60-second news update with Sam Francis.
Hello, very good morning from the newsroom. The top story this hour: students across the country are opening their A-level, T-level and BTEC results today. UCAS say a record 226,580 18-year-olds have got into their first choice of university. That's 82% of offer holders. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says it's a steadying of the ship after the pandemic. Sir Keir Starmer has welcomed the Ukrainian president to Downing Street ahead of Friday's summit in Alaska between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. The Prime Minister says there is now a viable chance of a ceasefire, as Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders are pushing for stronger sanctions if Russia refuses to halt its attacks. Economic growth has slowed to 0.3% between April and June, according to official figures. Services and construction are pulling the weight, while production has dipped. Chancellor Rachel Reeves says the figures beat expectations, and the UK is the fastest growing economy in the G7 so far this year. And in the weather, the Met Office is warning of torrential rain, lightning and hail in the north, while southern England braces for temperatures up to 31 degrees this weekend and extended heat alerts. That's it from me and my AutoQ team. See you soon.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thanks, Sam. Coming up next, we'll have the latest on the wildfires ripping through Greece, where at least 3 people have been killed. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News. Don't get too far. We'll see you soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Any early showers across the southeast, soon easing away, but some thundery downpours expected across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. But for all, it is set to be another warm day ahead. Now, a Met Office yellow thunderstorm warning has been issued across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. We could see some quite heavy downpours here, some thundery downpours with some frequent lightning and also some hail. So do keep an eye out on the forecast for here. But elsewhere, we'll start to see some cloudier skies across Wales, central parts of England, the best of the sunshine across the southeast, where we'll reach highs of around 29 degrees Celsius. Into the evening, some of these heavy thundery showers could persist for a while, particularly across the far northeast of Scotland as they move their way into the Northern Isles, starting to turn quite cloudy too, particularly around coastal areas. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, still a chance we could see some thundery showers here. They won't really ease away until through the course of the night. But elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be a mostly dry and pleasant end to the day, particularly across the south, where we'll see mostly clear skies. It is set to be another quite mild and muggy night though, particularly once again across southern areas. Many towns and cities not really dropping much past the mid to high teens. And something else we'll notice as we head further into the morning is that we're starting to drag in some low cloud across the north, starting to move into parts of Scotland, northern parts of England. A chance we could see some mist and fog across central areas. So it may be a little bit of a murky start and mild start to the day too. Then into Friday to finish off the week. Once again, some low cloud, eventually lifting and breaking, but it may linger for a time, particularly across the northeast of Scotland, northeastern parts of England, where it may just be thick enough to produce some showers. But in the west, central areas of England and parts of the southeast, plenty of sunshine and temperatures up by a degree or two once again. Highs reaching around 31, but much cooler under cloudier skies.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A82 is closed between Balcragan and Drumnadrochit due to a road traffic incident. Drivers should use an alternative route and anticipate longer journey times. A vehicle fire has closed all lanes on the M6 southbound in Warwickshire. There are 50-minute delays on the A14 eastbound from Junction 2 Kelmarsh to Junction 4 due to congestion. Additionally, delays occur on the A4232 southbound from the M4J33 Capel-Lunilturn to the A48 interchange. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway buses replace trains between Boston and Skegness. Northern buses substitute trains between Sellafield and Whitehaven. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello, welcome back. It is 10:37 and this is Britain's Newsroom.
Well, this is bad news. Wildfires raging across southern Europe, killing at least 3 people.
Yeah, thousands of residents and tourists have been forced to flee resorts in Greece, where blazes are tearing through the islands of Zakynthos and Chios.
I think they're also affecting Kefalonia too.
Kefalonia as well, yeah, absolutely. It's not good anywhere. OK, travel editor at The Sun, Lisa Mino, joins us now. Lisa, good to see you. OK, tell us more about this story. It sounds fairly awful. Lots of Brits over there on holiday at the moment.
That's right. So we've seen this extreme heat wave, which obviously we're experiencing here in the UK as well. But with that always comes the risk of wildfires, and that's exactly what we've got at the moment across the whole of the Mediterranean. Obviously, as you say, there's been deaths in Greece, Zante, Chios and Patras, which is an island on the west of Greece, the 3rd largest city in Greece. That actually, is really sort of having very big issues at the moment. And then in Spain as well, Portugal, northern Spain and Portugal, huge amounts of fires up there at the moment. But really across the entire Med, Spain, Italy, Albania, all of them crying out for more support and help in actually trying to tackle these fires.
Lisa, is this unusual for this time of year? I mean, I seem to remember a couple of years ago in France, I believe it was, there were terrible wildfires.
That's right. I mean, I was actually 2017. I was actually evacuated from my campsite in the south of France when the flames literally hit the edge of the campsite. Vast areas of the south of France were destroyed then, and it's only now, 8 years later, starting to actually begin to recover. So these are really devastating effects, and we have seen more of them coming year after year. I've been to the south of France for the best part of 40 odd years, and this is the last few years we've been ever more of these really serious fires. And it's definitely something that we are going to have to be looking into. People are looking at the way that the weather is impacted and changed in the summer, and it is changing the way that they're travelling as well. 65% of Brits.
Lisa, what would your advice be to people looking to go on holiday to the Greek islands at the moment?
Well, I mean, I think definitely still go to the Greek islands because, wildfires do happen all the time. But it's just best to make sure that you are as completely aware as possible of the evacuation procedures wherever you are in terms of your hotel or accommodation. Know the evacuation procedures and keep up to date on the local news, so you're knowing exactly what's going on. I think there's definitely going to be a change in the way people travel, though. That's what I was just about to say. 68% of Brits now would look at somewhere different because of the extreme heat, fires, etc., things like this. And I think there's very much now flattening out. People aren't looking to just travel in that peak summer period, but into the spring and autumn as well, just to avoid those really extreme temperatures.
OK, Lisa, thank you very much. And there's live footage on your screen at the moment. I believe that's from Portugal. Yeah. It is across southern Europe. Travel editor at The Sun, Lisa Minnow, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
I just wonder if it's getting too hot to go to the Mediterranean in July and August.
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of people think that in any case. I'm married to one that does that, but he thinks it's too hot here in the winter. So the thing is with this, like, it's not... The wildfires just don't spontaneously happen. They are caused by people being idiots.
Yeah, and sometimes it's arson.
Well, exactly, that's what I mean. And a lot of the time, it's, I think in LA, a lot of the fires were started by arsonists. So everyone goes, oh, it's global warming, it's terrible, da, 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 da. Yeah, OK, it might be getting hotter on the planet, but a lot of these are caused by people being idiots, and there's no accounting for that.
Now, tomorrow, 15th of August, we're celebrating VJ Day, Victory over Japan, to commemorate when Imperial Japan surrendered in 1945.
Yeah, it's marking the end of the Pacific conflict. This year's 80th anniversary is a significant milestone for remembrance and reflection.
Well, let's talk to the Constitution expert, Michael Ellis. Michael, morning to you. A lot of people, of course, celebrated. You and I were, I think, at the Palace to mark Victory in Europe Day. Huge celebrations. But VJ Day, which marked the end of hostilities, it's always much lower key. Why so, Michael?
Well, it's a very good question, Andrew, and it actually isn't a recent question. Even in the years immediately following VE Day, there were those who had fought in the Far East for the British and Allied forces who actually felt that they had been forgotten, and it's not therefore a recent phenomenon. But probably the reason for that is that there was war weariness immediately after Victory in Europe Day. There was a feeling that the war in the Far East was further from home, that it had been the Nazis that had been striking the UK in the Blitz. And there were a variety of reasons, but the truth is that over 1.5 million Allied forces fought in the Far East. There were over 900,000 British and Commonwealth and Empire forces there. Over 30,000 British military personnel died in the Far East, and there were 90,000 casualties. It was a horrific conflict. The Americans lost over 100,000 fighting personnel, so some quarter of their total losses in World War II. So it was a horrific conflict. It was a horrific regional zonal war as part of World War II. The problem was for the Allies, Andrew and Dawn, is that they well knew how hard the Japanese were fighting. They were very well aware that the Japanese were extremely thorough, vicious fighters who would not surrender. And they knew that from long experience since Pearl Harbor in 1941. At Okinawa, in March of 1945, they just saw that there was going to be no surrender from the Japanese. And eventually, Truman, who took over from Roosevelt, He said that we'll call the Potsdam Conference. They gave Japan an opportunity to surrender, warning the Japanese that they had weapons that could bring this conflict to a close. The Japanese declined to surrender at Potsdam, and we know what happened after that with Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Michael, I was listening to some veterans being interviewed. I mean, there's not many left now, obviously, last night, and the scars they bear are just horrific. And they were talking about the experiences that really, I've never even heard some of the stories before about people being bayoneted in hospital wards, and it sounded like a really, truly horrific experience.
Dawn, it was absolutely horrific, and the cruel way in which Allied military personnel were kept as prisoners of war is a stain on humanity. And in fact, they were forced to be slave labor in many cases. We may know of the Burma Railway, where in horrific weather conditions, extreme jungle heat, they were forced with very little nutrition. Many starved to death, many died of dysentery and malaria. Black water fever, which is a complication of malaria, which is quite rare but absolutely deadly. And they were not given medical treatment, they were not given sufficient food. We had over 12,500 British prisoners of war who were entirely emaciated by the end of the conflict, and it stayed with them and has stayed with them for their whole lives. So tomorrow is the day of the 80th anniversary when Emperor Hirohito of Japan announced his surrender over the airwaves, and that's why we mark it in this part of the world to say that it was the victory over Japan, a much-needed victory that allowed the post-World War II world then to begin in earnest and rebuilding after the war. But it came at a cost of many, many hundreds of thousands of lives.
All right, Michael, that's the constitutional expert, Mike Clancy. Of course, the King and Queen will be leading the commemorations tomorrow, and of course, GB News will be covering that. Now, moving on, in looking for some elusive holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of those top European destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The summer heat wave continues across much of Europe, particularly inland France, Spain and Portugal, where we're likely to see temperatures in the mid to low 40s. And with these high temperatures, we are set to see plenty of sunshine, but slightly different story as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean. At times, this heat is likely to produce some quite heavy, if not thundery showers across parts of Italy. And that is set to continue over the weekend, and the hot temperatures are here to stay.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me next Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Hello, right, OK, it is 10:50 and we are joined now by GB News national reporter Anna Riley, who's talking about A-level results day, and she is live at Wilberforce Sixth Form College in Hull. Anna.
Good morning to you both. Yes, there's been lots of happy smiles here from students coming in, trickling in throughout the day to collect their results. But now that students can actually receive the results online, there has been less people actually coming in to pick up the results. But certainly there's been a fantastic reception here. I don't know if you can see behind us, but there's lots of balloons, lots of welcoming messages. And I'm joined now by Paul Hamer. He's the law tutor here, but he's also a pathways coordinator. Because for those students who didn't quite hit their grades, this is when Paul steps in. So just tell us about your role, Paul.
Yeah, so it's just a minority of students really who haven't quite got the grades they need to get to their destination. And what we would do with those students is what we're doing with them this morning. We have a team of people just to sit down, talk with them, talk through any alternative options they might want to explore, ring universities, go online, look at some university courses that they can maybe get into with the grades that they've got. Same with apprenticeships and same with jobs. So it's just very much offering that bespoke, very much one-to-one support with the student, try and get them a destination that they really want to go into.
And just tell us about the change next year. 2026 is the last year, as we know, that there'll be BTEC. So currently here it's sort of a third split, isn't it, between students who study A-levels, the new T-levels and BTECs. But there could be a qualification gap, couldn't there, when BTECs are stopped, because they can't necessarily be replaced like for like with these T-levels?
Yeah. I think that's a really fair comment. I mean, I'll just do it from a personal point of view. I'm lucky enough to be a BTEC law teacher. I have a number of students who do BTEC law. It's a fantastic qualification. All my students have done it this year off to do wonderful things with that qualification, work in the legal profession. And it's just, firstly, it's just really sad that they might not be able to do that qualification in future. And yeah, it's a worry about what will we do with those groups of students. We might be able to counsel them with other programmes that we offer here at the college, but it's still a worry. And overall, it's a real sadness that they won't have potentially the same qualifications opportunities that the students that have gone before them.
Thank you for speaking to us this morning, Paul. So yeah, well, that'll be something that we can see next year then, whether these BTECs are scrapped.
Hello, thank you very much, Anna. Now we're joined by GB News national reporter Jack Carson, who is live from Lichfield Cathedral School for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the students have gone home. They've gone off celebrating their results. We'll reflect now with the head teacher at the school here, Sue Hannam. Thinking on today and the results, you know, you've got a big smile on your face. Yeah. It's been a very successful day for the school.
It's been a phenomenally successful day for the school, and we are inordinately proud of all of our students. And, you know, we're not academically selective. They come from different starting points. They find a trajectory and off they go. And, you know, we've heard a lot of whooping here today, haven't we? It's been great. I'm really delighted for them.
And you had a 100% pass rate as well.
100% pass rate, and nearly a quarter of our grades are A stars and A's. So I mean, I couldn't be happier. I'm delighted.
All right, Sue, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a fantastic day here at the school. As you say, lots of whooping, lots of happy tears. Happy to report that they were happy tears today, and lots of crying parents too. A successful A-level results day here all round.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much, Jack. Absolutely. I mean,
Well done to all those
absolutely, yeah. No,
and commiserations to those who haven't got the grades they wanted. You can always take them again, or perhaps there's more to life than university.
Absolutely, never give up. Plenty more to come up this morning as well. Most importantly, we want to hear your favourite puddings as a British pudding faces extinction. Oh my God, Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning channel. Don't go too far, we'll see you soon.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Any early showers across the southeast, soon easing away, but some thundery downpours expected across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. But for all, it is set to be another warm day ahead. Now, a Met Office yellow thunderstorm warning has been issued across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. We could see some quite heavy downpours here, some thundery downpours with some frequent lightning and also some hail. So do keep an eye out on the forecast for here. But elsewhere, we'll start to see some cloudier skies across Wales, central parts of England, the best of the sunshine across the southeast, where we'll reach highs of around 29 degrees Celsius. Into the evening, some of these heavy thundery showers could persist for a while, particularly across the far northeast of Scotland as they move their way into the Northern Isles, starting to turn quite cloudy too, particularly around coastal areas. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, still a chance we could see some thundery showers here. They won't really ease away until through the course of the night. But elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be a mostly dry and pleasant end to the day, particularly across the south, where we'll see mostly clear skies. It is set to be another quite mild and muggy night though, particularly once again across southern areas. Many towns and cities not really dropping much past the mid to high teens. And something else we'll notice as we head further into the morning is that we're starting to drag in some low cloud across the north, starting to move into parts of Scotland, northern parts of England. A chance we could see some mist and fog across central areas. So it may be a little bit of a murky start and mild start to the day too. Then into Friday to finish off the week. Once again, some low cloud, eventually lifting and breaking, but it may linger for a time, particularly across the northeast of Scotland, northeastern parts of England, where it may just be thick enough to produce some showers. But in the west, central areas of England and parts of the southeast, plenty of sunshine and temperatures up by a degree or two once again, highs reaching around 31, but much cooler under cloudier skies.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
It is 11, oh God, you wouldn't believe it. It's 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 14th of August, live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Dawn Newsom.
Breaking news, Paul Doyle, the man accused of driving into crowds at Liverpool FC's title parade, faces 24 new charges after appearing at Liverpool Crown Court this morning.
Wow. And the BBC is in hot water again.
These words echo a fear many have absorbed, fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia.
The BBC paused a segment on the Today programme after a guest calls Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick xenophobic, posh word for racist, over his stance on illegal immigration.
It's that day, A-level results. Boys have achieved more top grades than girls for the first time in 7 years.
Great, so surprised at the results, but so happy with it at the same time.
I basically just got all C's and B's, which is what I needed to get into Nottingham, so I'm very happy. And I just got the email and it was like, you've got in. I was like, okay, well, that's all I needed to hear, because even if my results weren't what I wanted, as long as I've got in, I'm really happy with that.
I've just spent 48 hours in northern France. I wanted to see what's going on up close.
I'm Robert, I'm from England. Why do you want to go to England?
And Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick posts a cinematic video of his experience observing migrants and people smugglers in northern France. Although, embarrassingly, Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp actually pipped into the post the day before.
You think they're competing. Holiday inferno, at least 3 people have died, thousands have had to flee tourist hotspots in Greece, wildfires are raging across southern Europe. We'll bring you the latest on that.
And hook, line and sinker, not that we're carping on about it, Foreign Secretary David Lammy faces a £2,500 fine for fishing without a licence with the US Vice President J.D. Vance. That's definitely trout of order.
And we still want to know your favourite pud, whether you still make it or not, what perhaps you had when you was a kid. My mum used to make apple crumble, rhubarb crumble.
Oh, because you used to grow rhubarb in the garden or something?
Rhubarb in the garden,
absolutely.
and we used to pinch blackberries. We used to go blackberry picking along the hedges, and sometimes we'd scrump apples.
Scrumping.
Scrumping.
Like a bit of scrumping.
Or you'd buy cooking apples.
Cooking, yeah, absolutely. No, we used to go scrumping and then picking blackberries from the hedgerows as well.
Yeah, lovely.
Which, because I lived in East London, they often come with rats stuff.
How many did you eat before you put them in the pot?
Loads. So I don't know how we survived our childhood, but our favourite, I don't know about you out there, I suspect this might be the case, is suet pudding. Oh. Do you remember suet pudding? Suet is a hangover from the war. It was during rationing and it was very high calorie, stodgy, and you could make savoury dumplings with it, or you could make a treacle tart or golden syrup over with custard. Yeah, those were the days. But evidently that's all dying out. Youngsters aren't doing that anymore. It's much easier to go and buy a nice cold dessert. I know. So evidently if we carry on like this, our favourite childhood desserts, the hot stuff that we used to get as kids in school and stuff like that, it's going to be dying.
Altogether.
Yeah, in 50 years we won't be talking about spotted dick.
I know. So send us your favourite desserts. You send your views, post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/yoursay. But first,
the news with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you. The top stories just after 11. Well, that breaking news that a man accused of driving into crowds during Liverpool's Premier League victory parade now this morning faces a further 24 charges. Paul Doyle is alleged of driving into fans on the 26th of May, injuring 134 people. He was previously charged with just 7 offences, including wounding and grievous bodily harm with intent, plus dangerous driving. 6 of the new offences out of those 24 relate to children, including one 6-month-old and one 7-month-old. The 53-year-old is due at Liverpool Crown Court later today, and his trial is set for the 24th of November and expected to last for up to 4 weeks. Well, an update on news regarding the war in Ukraine in just a moment. First, though, a breaking line we're just hearing here in the newsroom of a chemical incident in London that has triggered an evacuation of a major hospital. Around 150 patients so far evacuated from Guy's Hospital in central London after that reported chemical incident. London Fire Brigade on scene with a number of crews currently ventilating the building's basement and the ground floor of that hospital. Patients and staff are being moved out as a precaution, and a large cordon remains in place. As I say, crews carrying out operations to ventilate the hospital building. We're also seeing some images posted on social media of a large crowd of people outside the hospital. So that news just in of a reported chemical incident triggering major evacuation at Guy's Hospital. We'll keep you up to date on the very latest on that. Back now to Downing Street, though, where Sir Keir Starmer has rolled out the red carpet for Volodymyr Zelensky as Europe has braced for Donald Trump's high-stakes meeting with the Russian president in Alaska on Friday. The Prime Minister said Britain stands ready to increase pressure on Russia if it rejects a ceasefire, with further sanctions already being prepared. He's praised Mr Trump for creating a viable chance to end the war, but reiterated that talks on Ukraine's future should not happen without its involvement. Trump has threatened very severe consequences if Vladimir Putin rejects a ceasefire.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
In other news this morning, hundreds of thousands of students across England and Wales and Northern Ireland are finding out their A-level, T-level, BTEC National and other Level 3 results today. Many learning they've made it into their top university pick. UCAS says a record 226,000 18-year-olds have secured their first or firm choice. That's up nearly 10,000 from last year. The Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, says the results show a steadying of the ship after the pandemic, and UCAS Chief Dr Joe Saxton also says that universities are especially keen this year to enrol UK students amid uncertainty over international numbers. The UK economy has grown by 0.3% between April and June, slower than the first quarter but stronger than expected according to official ONS figures. Growth was driven by a rise in services and a boost in construction. Production, though, falling. Chancellor Rachel Reeves says the UK is the fastest growing economy in the G7 for the first half of the year and says the numbers are encouraging.
Today's numbers show that the economy beat expectations in the second quarter of this year. We are the fastest growing economy in the G7 for the first half of this year, with a GDP growth of 0.3% this quarter, and that's after GDP growth of 0.7% the quarter before that. Look, I recognise there's still more to do to make sure that people in all parts of the country benefit from that growth.
And the Met Office has issued a yellow thunderstorm alert for northern Scotland until at least 10 o'clock this evening, with flood warnings also in place. But the UK is still enduring its fourth heat wave of the summer. Heat health alerts have been extended right into next week for much of England, covering regions from Yorkshire through to the southwest. Officials are warning England is also facing nationally significant water shortfalls, with parts of the country still in drought. Those are the latest headlines for now. I'll be back with you in half an hour, but first, let's take a look at the markets.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3577 and €1.1626. The price of gold is £2,470.52 per ounce. And the FTSE 100 is at 9,161 points.
OK, yeah, hello, welcome back. Thank you very much, Sam. Just to recap that breaking news that you heard in Sam's headline there, Guy's Hospital has been evacuated after a chemical incident.
And this is a hugely significant hospital because it's one of the tallest hospitals in the world.
Yeah, it's a centre of excellence, one of the main teaching hospitals in London.
Yeah.
2 fire engines were called at around 8:50 a.m. to help get more than 150 people out from the basement and the ground floor levels. The hospital is in Southwark in central London. The London Fire Brigade have confirmed. A spokesman said 2 fire engines, 2 fire rescue units and a command unit and specialist hazardous materials officers have been sent to the scene. Crews are carrying out operations to ventilate the building. Around 150 people have been evacuated from the basement and ground floor levels of the hospital by firefighters and hospital staff.
So the brigade was first called about the incident at 8:49 with crews from Whitechapel, Dowgate, Euston and other stations have been sent to the scene. We'll bring you more on this as we have it. And if you're there, please get in touch with us. Guy's Hospital has been around since 1721.
It is one of the oldest hospitals in London, and there's lots of footage on social media as well showing people. Obviously, they've been evacuated from hospital, so they're in their hospital gowns, on crutches, and things like that. We don't know what has triggered this yet. We will bring you as much information as we possibly can as soon as we have it. Yeah. But it does sound like there's a fairly major incident. It happened about 8:49 this morning with fire engines from around the London area gathering to help people there. So we will bring you as much information as we can on that one.
And we've got lots of texts and emails coming in, I think.
We have, and some I can even read out. Yes. Basically, lots of people are not a big fan of Michael Crick earlier on, who were interviewing about...
Who said we get away with murder.
Yes.
Which we push back on.
Yes, absolutely. We were talking about the BBC Thought for the Day segment on the Today programme, which a guest accused Robert Jenrick of xenophobia because he was worried about the safety of his daughters with these undocumented migrants coming over.
And the day the BBC released that clip on Thought for the Day, a second migrant from the Bell Hotel in Epping appeared in court on allegations of inappropriate behaviour.
Yes, and this is not just... I mean, Michael Crick seemed to imply that GB News love whipping up this anti-migrant rhetoric about sort of undocumented men from cultures that don't have different attitudes towards women and girls.
And we did point out that the Prime Minister himself, the leader of a Labour government, used the expression...
Island of Strangers. Yes, indeed. And Baroness Casey, in her report onto the grooming/rape gangs, did say that there is a very high incidence of asylum seekers and foreign men seeking asylum who are involved in the sexual abuse of young girls.
And she said it was disproportionately high.
Disproportionately high. So this is...
So it is documented, it is a fact, and why shouldn't a politician who's got 3 teenage girls say he's worried about undocumented men... wandering around the country? We don't know who they are, we don't know where they're from, and the wretched French won't even tell us if they've got police records.
Well, the wretched French are more interested in getting rid of those criminals from their country and getting them over here. I do hate this. As a woman, I'm constantly being told, for me to worry about my safety, the safety of my 27-year-old niece, because there are men from different cultures. Can we just accept that people from different cultures have a different attitude towards women? And there is an issue with that in this country.
There is.
It doesn't make you xenophobic, it doesn't make you racist to be worried about that.
So, moving on, the BBC has pulled that Thought of the Day radio segment and apologised to Robert Jenrick after the panellist on Thought of the Day accused him of xenophobia over his views on illegal immigration.
Yeah, charity bosh, which they didn't say at the time either. Krish Kandiah claimed the Shadow Justice Secretary was fuelling fear of the stranger, xenophobia. But the BBC has now apologised and edited the segment after a backlash.
A front-page story in the Mail on Sunday quoted Shadow Justice Minister Robert Jenrick talking about his fears for his young daughters. He said, "I certainly don't want my children to share a neighbourhood with men from backward countries who broke into Britain illegally and about whom we know next to nothing." These words echo a fear many have absorbed, fear of the stranger. The technical name for this is xenophobia.
Worse, that is patronising. You know, you out there have absorbed this. No, maybe we're just genuinely concerned.
Yeah, quite.
It's just that middle-class left sneering.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, you poor things, you're worried about this, but you've absorbed it. There's nothing to be worried about. Pat on the head. Ooh.
And that segment, Thought of the Day, is usually... it's seen by senior people before the broadcast.
This was approved. This wasn't a thing like suddenly it came out live. It was approved.
Yeah.
So there are questions to be asked at the BBC. They have apologised and said that language shouldn't have gone out, but it did.
It would never have gone out if you'd used the word racist rather than...
No. Because they're posh, they think they can get away with using words like that. And none of us little poor people out here who are concerned about undocumented illegal migrants coming over here from cultures where they stone and rape women, and that's not a problem, and marry 9-year-old girls. No, we don't need to be concerned about that.
Quite indeed. Let's talk to the former Labour Special Advisor and friend of the programme, Paul Richards. Paul, morning to you. Have the BBC done the right thing here? They've apologised to Jenrick and they pulled the segment. Well, they took it down completely and then re-edited to take that segment out completely.
Well, I think the BBC have called this completely wrong, actually, because I heard the piece go out live on Thought for the Day, and Thought for the Day is a segment of BBC Radio 4's Today programme where different people who don't work for the BBC come on, put forward a point of view, often from a theocratic or religious or spiritual, moralistic sort of point of view for a few minutes. Most people, it's their cue to go off and go to work or, you know, turn off the radio at that point. But anyway, they do it day after day. And I heard it and I thought, well, he's explained what xenophobia is in terms of how he's using this word. It's his point of view, agree or disagree, but it's his freedom of speech to say it. And it came and it went without thought. Then it was all over the front page of the newspapers with, you know, Jenrick complaining about it. And I fear, and I think, Andrew, you alluded to this earlier, this is more about Mr. Jenrick and him wanting for us to be talking about him with his, you know, endless pursuit of headlines than it is a genuine grievance against Thought for the Day. So the BBC have just got it wrong.
Hold on a minute, endless pursuit of headlines. He was talking about the safety of his daughters. Maybe he's genuinely concerned.
I'm always a bit worried and sceptical when politicians of any stripe, you know, whether it's Barack Obama or whether it's Robert Jenrick, start using their children as props, because I don't think they should be in the public domain because they've got no choice. And we know Mr. Jenrick is on manoeuvres. We know he wants to replace Kemi Badenoch, don't we? And I think that's the prism through which we have to view this. The sort of faux outrage about this bloke on Radio 4, I think it's just mostly about the forever wars being fought inside the Conservative Party. I don't think it's really got an awful lot to do with people's genuine concerns about asylum hotels.
But is it fair for a broadcaster on the BBC, paid for by the state, to accuse a politician of xenophobia when he's got no right of reply in a sense here, Paul? You know, that just was put out, that's it. I mean, when I played it back, I was quite surprised that the BBC had allowed it, because xenophobic is a pretty strong word to use.
Well, he contextualised it by describing what he meant by that word, because it's one of those words people do bandy about, and it's not a synonym for racist. It means fear of the stranger, and if you look at the etymology of it, that's what the word means. Prejudice. And he was very clear to say that. Now, you know, like I say, you can agree or disagree, but he has got freedom of speech to say that on this particular Thought for the Day segment, because it is a kind of commentary, and it's not a news segment. It's where individuals who don't work for the BBC just come along and, you know, have their say day after day. Like I say, you can agree or disagree. And people come on there from the Sikh religion, the Hindu religion, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, etc. And we may or may not agree with what they say, but it is a segment of free speech. So, you know, Mr. Jenrick, I thought, supported free speech. So why he's kicking up quite this fuss, I'm not sure. Well, I have a suspicion, as I may have mentioned earlier.
Yeah, he's on manoeuvres. He's an opposition politician, Paul. And as you saw, he was in France the day after Chris Philp was in France. I know he's going to go to France tomorrow. Perhaps a shadow chancellor.
I mean, they were queuing up, aren't they? It must be very good for the boat trade, I think. But, I mean, good heavens, they're all trying to get their TikToks, aren't they? But, you know, where's Kemi is the big question, isn't it? Why isn't she on manoeuvres? She's supposed to be the leader of the opposition. But anyway, there we are.
All right, Paul. Paul, always good to talk to you. That's the former Labour Special Advisor, Paul Richards. Kemi, of course, went to the Isle of Wight.
She was on the Isle of Wight instead, but it's a fair point. I mean, people have suggested the Isle of Wight as one of the islands we should use to house the illegal migrants coming over.
I had a lot of sympathy with what Rupert Lowe said, the former Reform MP, who said, we've got a lot of remote Scottish islands, shove them on there, put them in a tent and let the midges do their worst.
What have you got against the Scottish Islands? I like the Scottish Islands. They're good for hiking.
No, unoccupied ones.
Yeah, I know, but they're still good for hiking and walking around. The Falkland Islands was another suggestion.
It's a long way.
Maybe you've got another... Well, so was Rwanda, to be fair.
Yeah.
Any case, maybe you've got a better idea, gbnews.com/your say. Now, the right reply for the BBC, a spokesperson has said, while its reflection on fear in society from a faith perspective is broadly in line with expectations of thought for the day, some of the language it used went beyond that, and we apologise for its inclusion.
Now, time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a year. How nice.
Yay.
Plus have an extra £5,000 in your bank to play with. And if you don't pay a monthly mortgage or rent payment, we'll give you £15,000 cash instead. Here's all the details that you need.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure, because why not? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you. We'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. What are you waiting for? Lines will close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Now we're going to get stuck into some great British puddings, and I can't wait. Are you hungry?
No.
I'm trying. I am trying, people. Are you hungry out there? Anyway, puddings, they are evidently on the verge of extinction. And we're going to be eating them for research purposes.
Yes.
I'm going to be eating them by the sounds of it.
We are going to unveil a pudding.
Yes.
A traditional
old-school pudding.
Is under threat. Maybe you can guess what it is. This is Britain's Newsroom.
GB News. See you soon.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. It is pretty much 11:25 in the morning. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom with Andrew Pearce, that's him, and me, Dawn Neeson. Not Bev, you haven't called me Bev yet. OK, we are joined now by broadcaster and journalist, the wonderful Karen Malone, and political commentator Jonathan Lewis.
Why am I wonderful? Why is it?
Well, because you're not. Because you're not, basically. I mean, you just sort of...
Now,
Malone, say something nice.
Malone, if we have a heat wave...
Say something nice, Dawn.
Can you just start a debate here, Jonathan?
Jonathan,
right.
Can we concentrate, please?
Yeah. So, we're talking about...
We're talking about, in a heat wave, our Deputy Prime Minister, the champion of the trade union, thinks we should have the day off, apparently. Or some such thing.
Angela Rayner is one of 5 ministers who want workers to be able to down tools in a heat wave. Now, according to the Unite Union, a heat wave is 27 degrees, which to most normal people, 27 degrees is just a nice summer's day.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, this is just outrageous. She wants them to be able to, people who work outside, she wants them to be able to down tools and just stop working. So how does this...
That's 80 degrees, 27. 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's nothing.
I mean, that's...
In fact, I think it's even less than that, Piers.
Yeah.
But you know, this is like a Skyver's charter. So that means what happens if it's too hot, it's too cold, it's a bit windy, it's rainy, it's a bit dark. Don't work at all. I mean, they finish at 3 o'clock anyway. And how come the rest of Europe, which has temperatures way beyond there, up to 40 and beyond, they manage to work it so because they're flexible.
But they're also their infrastructure is designed for it.
Can I finish, please? They start earlier in the morning and then they finish at lunchtime and then they start again at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We could easily do that. Why aren't we doing that?
It's nonsense. Skyver's charter, she's right.
Also, according to this article in The Telegraph, this is something that Rayner proposed in 2022. I don't think there's any evidence that she's proposing it in government right now.
It is being proposed right now. Unite want it.
Well, it's not being proposed by Angela Rayner, though.
But she did propose it.
In three years ago. I mean,
do you know why she's doing it again? Do you know why she wants it? Because she's fallen out with Unite. They suspended her.
Well,
so she's trying to get back into their good books by...
She said that she resigned from it. The point is, the idea is not a bad one, that if there are very, very difficult conditions...
Difficult is not 27 degrees. That's a nice day.
I would say the 27 may be a little bit on the low side. But if there is a heat wave and you're working outdoors, for example, or you're working in an office that doesn't have air conditioning or the infrastructure designed for the high heat...
public service buildings do.
Look, the thing about Britain, Carol, is that we are getting more and more heat waves, and obviously things are going to go in one direction.
Can I just say, this is not a heat wave, Jonathan.
Right now, it's
we're not in a heat wave.
It's muggy, but it's not a heat wave.
I read one of the papers today. It said we're in our 4th heat wave this year. No, we're not. Go outside. Big, thick clouds.
Well, it's cloudy in London, but it's hot, but cloudy.
There was a proper heat wave in Britain in 1976. A lot of people watching and listening will remember that.
And people were miserable.
My father worked in a factory.
Yeah, and it was really miserable for him.
He didn't have the opportunity to go home because it was too hot.
Exactly.
Because he wouldn't have got paid.
Yes.
And I had to do my GCSE O-level mocks in that...
Andrew, why are you saying this stuff? This is bad. That was bad, and it should have been better. Why are you using this as an argument?
It is interesting that it's only...
Because we've become...
This kind of argument always makes me laugh because we're saying, well, we had terrible conditions and we were right. You had terrible conditions, they should have been better.
The point he's making is that 27 degrees is not a terrible condition.
But then 1976 wasn't 27 degrees. 1976 was a terrible heat where the reservoirs dried up. Yeah. And we've had...
and people went to work.
And last year or 2 years ago, we had 40 degrees in Britain, which is unthinkable before.
This is just unions trying to get it so that their workers don't do anything at all. You know, we're in the middle of a productivity crisis in this country. So what's going to happen if everyone downs tools when it gets a little bit...
Well, I agree that we have a productivity crisis, Carol, but I don't think it's going to be solved by making workers...
making workers work?
Making workers undergo very, very difficult conditions.
It's not difficult to work in 27
I'm not talking about 27
People go on holiday
I'm talking about over 30 or 33
people
degrees.
Go on holiday.
We don't have air conditioning in this country because we're used to having hot weather for only 2 weeks a year.
People go on holiday to Greece where the temperature is closer to 100 degrees, and yet you
They're
want
not
them to
working, are they?
Well, for God's sake, if they choose to go and stay sweltering in the heat like
goes up to 50
Listen, are we going to eat some puddings now?
And they're still working in Dubai.
We're going to eat some puddings now, Andrew.
OK, shall we talk about
That's because he's lost the argument.
I haven't lost the argument, I'm just hungry.
I've never known Jonathan List win an argument.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Only a loser would say that.
OK, right. Jonathan, you can explain calmly why we are talking about pudding.
How would I not be calm talking about this?
Try. Calm.
Get on with it.
OK, fine. So, English Heritage... which is a fantastic organisation, I'm a member, is saying that...
Woke organisation.
Well, it's actually it's protecting English heritage.
Just explain, Jonathan.
Anyway, they're saying that people are baking and making fewer and fewer puddings because we have less time and resources, etc. And there's a fear that the staples like sticky toffee pudding and spotted dick,
this one here, bread
and butter pudding, are going to be extinct in 50 years. And so they are making a push.
Talking now.
I'm just explaining the story.
Which one would you like
I'm going to try the rice pudding. You're getting the raspberry jam, Jonathan.
All right, fine.
Okay. See, I don't believe they're going to die out because when you can buy them and they taste as good as this, why would they die out?
No.
But the point of the story is we're not making them at home anymore. These are ones fair. You know, fair confession here.
When we
brought this from the supermarket
with a blob of strawberry jam.
Yeah. Have you ever in your life made a pudding like that? I haven't.
No, I haven't. No, but we are being blamed, Carol, not you and I personally, but women, because we started going to work more in the 70s. We stopped. I know. We stopped. We stopped cooking desserts at home. Yeah. So this is what they are saying. We are at fault. Obviously, blame the women going to work. Why wouldn't you?
What was your favourite pudding as a child?
I loved suet puddings with
suet pudding.
So I'm even now. Mark's. I can't say it.
Yeah, you can. Marks and
Spencer's used to make. Not a sweet one, a savoury pudding with steak and kidney with suet. Now, my mum did used to make them, and they were beyond gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I like stodgy puddings. The stodgier, the better. The thicker, the better.
My mum made rhubarb crumble. Loved it.
Yeah.
Rhubarb grew in the garden. And we used to go and pinch blackberries from the hedges.
Yes, still. Do you not still do it now?
Blackberry and apple pie.
I saw a very famous actor, and I won't say it was, just recently in Putney, nicking blackberries, not nicking, but having
helping
blackberries
themselves
in a bell.
Foraging. It's called foraging. Jonathan, as the youngest member of the panel, are you into more colder, trendy desserts? Because that's where it's going.
Have you noticed, by the way, Dawn Neeson's not eaten any of these puddings?
I'm not getting a chance.
Her body is a temple.
My body should also be a temple, but I make an exception for you. Don't be so rude all the time, Andrew. There's no need for it.
Is that why, Dawn, you're not having any? Because you don't...
No, because I'm actually trying to get a show out as well.
Oh, that's...
I know. That old excuse. I know.
My favourite is the rice pudding.
Dawn, I know that people think that I hate Britain, everything about Britain, but I actually love this country. I love its culinary heritage and its desserts and puddings.
What was your favourite pudding as a child?
I used to love... My mum used to make all kinds of delicious puddings, actually. In fact, my favourite pudding that she makes, and still makes sometimes, is South African pudding called mulva pudding, which is this absolutely incredible kind of spongy, custardy thing, which I absolutely recommend to everybody. It's so delicious.
So, is your mum watching you right now? Because she does, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
Can we ask her to make one, and you could bring it in, maybe?
Yeah, lovely. That's very good.
Mrs. Liz.
Was this Blue Peter?
I've been to your house many times. Do you still make a pudding, or would you buy one?
Either, depends how much time I have. I do make them, but I have to say, I don't like healthy puddings. I'm not interested in
What's the point, really?
Or sorbet
I love fruit.
Or, you know, anything that's got vitamins in it.
I had some of the rice pudding. It was very nice.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
It was very sweet, but we used to put jam in it.
Jam in it, yeah, that was the...
Like semolina.
And semolina.
I remember semolina being served at school when I was a kid. And tapioca.
Remember tapioca as well?
I never liked that because that always tasted like frost.
And a treat on a Sunday night was tinned tangerines with carnation milk.
See, from families like ours, Pierce, the big treat on a Sunday was a tin of fruit from Del Monte.
Yeah.
And it was either pears or fruit cocktail.
Yeah, that's right. That was posh fruit cocktail. With had a cherry in it.
With evaporated milk.
Evaporated milk.
Can we do every
Sounds incredibly healthy.
And we'd have jelly and we'd have blancmange, and the blancmange was in a rabbit mould.
Yes, I remember that.
And they wonder why people were healthier in those days in some way. Why were people healthier in the 70s when they were eating stuff like that?
Because it was a treat. It was.
And they had.
It was high days and holidays.
And they had physical jobs that they went to work in, even in a heat wave.
Unlike Angela Rayner, they worked during heat waves.
Exactly.
Angela Rayner has, you know, she comes from a working background.
Yeah.
Well, so she should know better then.
Yeah, exactly.
Jonathan Liss, Carol Malone, thank you both very much for discussing the global politics of the day and puddings.
The threat to our puddings.
OK, so let's... shall we get some sense? Here's the news with Sam Francis.
Hello, very good morning to you from the newsroom. The top stories at 11:30. The man accused of driving into crowds at Liverpool football parade faces 24 new charges after appearing in court this morning. Paul Doyle is alleged to have injured 134 people. 6 of the new offences relate to children. Patients and staff have been evacuated from Guy's Hospital in central London after a chemical incident there. Specialist hazardous material officers and rescue units are on scene. Crews are ventilating the basement and ground floor while a large cordon remains in place. Students across the country are opening their A-level, T-level and BTEC results today. UCAS says a record 226,000 18-year-olds have got their first choice of university. That's 82% of offer holders. Sir Keir Starmer has welcomed the Ukrainian president to Downing Street ahead of a summit between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. The Prime Minister says there is now a viable chance of a ceasefire, but leaders are pushing for stronger sanctions if Russia refuses to halt attacks. Economic growth has slowed to 0.3% between April and June, according to official figures. Chancellor Rachel Reeves says the figures beat expectations and the UK is the fastest growing economy in the G7 so far this year. And the Met Office is warning of torrential rain, lightning and hail in the north, while southern England is bracing for temperatures up to 31 degrees this weekend and extended heat alerts. Those are the headlines for now. I'll be back with the news at midday.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Thank you very much, Sam. We didn't get an answer on which pudding he would like to try, did we?
Who?
Sam.
No, he didn't.
No, he's very, very quiet on that subject.
Tom and Emily are here.
We are. Yeah.
Just looking with absolute...
Would you like to try?
It's like being back at school.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the things that it's always stodgy sort of custardy puddings.
It was always custardy.
I don't know. I'm thinking it's got to be maybe the syrup pudding or maybe the rice pudding.
Yeah.
The rice pudding's very nice.
Red pudding's best.
Rice pudding takes me right back to school.
It's very sweet.
I prefer an STP.
What's an STP?
Sticky toff pudding.
Yeah.
But we've got an exciting show coming up. We're going to be speaking to Robert Jenrick.
Very good. He's had a real hit today with the BBC, hasn't he?
Well, yes, we're going to ask him about that, for sure, but also about his trip to Calais. They seem to all be at it.
Yeah, so who's next? Is there a chance they're going to go?
Well, can we go over there?
Yeah. What about
I think the Shadow Minister for Paperclips is due next week.
This is the one in, one out. They weren't telling us the details.
Oh.
Do you know what? 50,000 illegal migrants and they get 2 Tory MPs.
No, of course they're all copying my husband.
Yeah,
exactly, of course.
But you know what? More the merrier. More the merrier. Shine a light on this. Shame the government. Shame the French authorities.
Did Robert Jenrick go asleep on the job? Because at 4 o'clock he saw the migrants and at 6 o'clock they'd gone. I think he fell asleep on the job.
Well, we'll ask him.
Yeah, if only he had sort of been there with, I don't know, rope and nunchucks, it could have all ended. But he did call the police. This is the interesting thing.
Yeah.
He called the police. He said exactly where the migrants were, where they were going,
did nothing.
And did they turn up?
Not interested, are they?
No.
A-level results day, another record high. Are children just getting cleverer, Andrew?
Don't start me on that. But boys have beaten the girls this year for the first time in 7 years.
Interesting. So the boys are surpassing the girls.
But I'm not sure that that's necessarily surprising, because A-levels traditionally, boys catch up to girls at A-levels.
Right.
They don't always do better. Girls always do better than boys at GCSEs. Always, always, always. A-levels, boys tend to catch up, and it's a lot closer. So whether it's just ahead or just behind, I'm not so surprised, because boys grow up later than girls.
Do you still remember the terror of waiting for those results?
What he's saying, basically, is that boys are just better because they just chill out, and then when they need to do well, they do well.
Right.
It's basically what he's saying.
Boys are
and it's winding me up
more
already.
immature than girls. Girls get mature at, ridiculous.
Girls are always more mature, particularly than men called Tom Harwood.
Boys take a little longer.
That sounds feisty. I'm not getting involved. I'm just going to let them argue that one out. That's all coming up at midday.
Yeah, and we'll find out why the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, who I'm not a great fan of, as you probably know, is in big trouble for getting his rod out, fishing rod, with J.D. Vance, the Vice President. I have to tell you, this entire episode shows you everything that's wrong with Britain. Who cares whether you had a licence or not? I just don't.
All of that coming up after the break. Don't go too far. You don't want to miss it.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another very warm day today, not quite as hot as previous days, nevertheless warm everywhere, but that warmth setting off some showers, particularly across northern parts of the UK, and even some intense thunderstorms, particularly for parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. We've got high pressure in charge, but some instability in the atmosphere is present, and that's allowing some cloud to build. So not entirely sunny, and the chance of 1 or 2 showers in places. However, it's eastern Scotland, as well as eastern parts of Northern Ireland, where there is that risk of intense thunderstorms, flashes of lightning, and localised flooding because of the rain rates. Where we do get some sunshine, particularly towards the south, it's going to be very warm, temperatures up to the mid to high 20s. And as we go into the evening, there's still that risk, as you can see, across parts of central and eastern Scotland of these intense downpours and thunderstorms. They'll be very hit and miss. Some places across Scotland will avoid the showers entirely, and Northern Ireland likewise, these intense showers developing, but always hit and miss. 1 or 2 showers also for Northern England as well as parts of Wales, but otherwise the cloud tending to fizzle away as the sun goes down, and overnight the showers will ease, with most places turning out dry by the early hours, and it's going to be a warm night for sleeping. There'll be areas of cloud here and there, particularly across the north and the east. North, the low cloud moving in by the end of the night, but clear spells for many as we wake up on Friday. A few mist patches here and there. They tend to lift quickly. And then it's a sunny day for much of England, Wales, western Scotland, Northern Ireland. But we do have this low cloud from the North Sea creeping into the east of Scotland and for parts of eastern England, particularly around North Sea beaches. That's going to make it feel cool, but where we've got the sunshine elsewhere, another hot day is expected.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I'll do this. Why
What's
not?
the time? It's 11:42, Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Dawn.
Dawn.
Thank you, people listening and watching, because we had even more viewers yesterday than ever before, and people listening, so we're very grateful. Now, is something fishy going on, pardon the pun, because David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, is on the hook Because?
After referring himself to the Environment Agency for fishing without a licence during a diplomatic weekend with US Vice President J.D. Vance. Hook, line and stinker.
Well, look, Charles Jardine is here from the who is the angling director for the Countryside Alliance. Charles, just explain to me. I didn't know, but he should know. He's the Foreign Secretary and he's fishing with J.D. Vance at the official residence this evening. Private land.
Private.
You've got to have a licence, otherwise you're in trouble.
It makes no difference. It's having a licence, a rod licence, is irrespective whether you fish public water, private water.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's a licence to actually have a fishing rod. So,
why do you need one?
Well, it's a very good question, and one that many people actually do question. But
rules is rules.
Rules are rules. The money actually accrued from the licences does go back into angling. So it goes into waterways, it goes into conservation issues. So it's not lost funding. I mean, it's not some sort of
What would he have had to have paid for this licence that he omitted to get?
Well, if he was me, I'd have to pay £24.50.
What idiot.
Because I'm of
Is
a
that for an
certain age.
annual licence or...?
That's for an annual one.
Right,
but
OK.
As he's not my age, he'd probably have to pay £36.80.
Right.
OK, according to this, a day is £7.30 for trout or coarse fishing. But the fine he is now liable for after referring himself is up to £2,500.
That's right.
Is he, should we extend a little bit of sympathy from here? This is a man who doesn't know anything about fishing, or do you suspect he does? Because, Charles, you've looked at these photographs.
I've looked, and I've looking at the way he actually is holding a pole, which is what he's got there. And there's wonderful puns there for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Daddy.
But, yes, I think the thing is that he has fished before.
Right.
And it's clear that J.D. Vance fishes as well.
Right.
But so, really, there isn't much of an excuse. But in his defence, and there isn't much...
No.
He has said, look, I'm, bound to rights, I'll pay the fine.
But what was the likelihood of him being taken to task over not doing this in any case?
I was thinking about this because, the idea of wardens and people going in to check licences in that sort of residence, in that situation, with all the guards and
security guards everywhere. J.D. Vance with his 24 vehicles in his security entourage.
But I think it's the tenor of the piece. I mean, it's saying, well, look, it's OK in some circumstances and not necessarily in others. And, there are a lot of people going to go out this summer with their children and they're going to say, well, it's OK, we'll go out. But they forget the point that all of us that are law-abiding and want to do the right thing have paid for that licence.
Yeah. Where do you buy the licence from, by the way?
You can get it online.
Oh,
it's the simplest thing in the world.
Why I know. With all the people who work for the Foreign Secretary, you think somebody might have said, Foreign Secretary, you need a licence.
But the thing is, right, if he hadn't have done this himself and come forward and said, oh, my God, I should have had a licence, no one would have known. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it because we wouldn't have known.
No. But, I mean, the EA really... I mean, it puts the EA in a difficult position because they've got to follow it up.
Yeah.
Well,
they've followed it up in any other situation. They've got to follow it up now.
Yeah.
Have you got your licence?
I have.
And what's the biggest fish you've ever caught?
Oh, I always get up.
Sorry, it's a good question.
In this country or abroad?
In this country.
In this country, I think it would be a pike, the freshwater shark.
How big?
It was £21.
Blimey. That is a big... And
that
in
is a big
country?
one.
In a foreign country, it was a thing called a tarpon, which is like a giant herring, and that was 120.
Wow.
And it is the most popular sport in the country, isn't it?
It is. Participant, yeah. Still.
And there you know.
And it helps people's health too.
Exactly, very good.
Well, you're a picture of health.
Charles, absolutely.
Charles Jardine, the angling director of the Countryside Alliance. So if you're going to go fishing, get a blooming licence. Okay. Foreign Secretary.
Yes. OK. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Foreign Office said, as soon as the Foreign Secretary was made aware of the administrative error, we purchased a fishing licence, then wrote to the Environment Agency notifying them of the error.
And the Environment Agency spokesman said, everyone who goes fishing needs a licence to help improve our rivers, lakes and the sport anglers love. We understand the relevant licences have been bought.
Moving on, if you are taking your rod abroad somewhere to do a bit of fishing where you might need a licence, I'm not sure how it applies abroad, but in any case, if you are off abroad, here is the forecast for some of that sun in top European destinations for you.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The summer heat wave continues across much of Europe, particularly inland France, Spain and Portugal, where we're likely to see temperatures in the mid to low 40s. And with these high temperatures, we are set to see plenty of sunshine, but slightly different story as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean. At times, this heat is likely to produce some quite heavy, if not thundery showers across parts of Italy. And that is set to continue over the weekend, and the hot temperatures are here to stay.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me next Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Now, wildfires are raging across southern Europe, killing at least 3 people.
Thousands of residents and tourists have been forced to flee certain resorts in popular British tourist spots. We're going to cross live to Athens and speak to journalist Daphne Tollis. Daphne, Greece is in the eye of this firestorm. Some of the islands particularly badly affected.
Yes, indeed. Hello from me here too. The island of Chios is still facing a wildfire that is raging. The island of Zakynthos is slightly better according to the latest developments. And still we have Patras, which is the third biggest city of Greece with around 200,000 people that is still fighting the active wildfire. So the last couple of days have been literally devastating for Greece. Thousands of acres have been burned, houses have been destroyed, agricultural farmland, forest land, and yet the authorities and the firefighters are struggling to contain these fires that broke out, like, just to give you a sense, in 2 days, in the space of 2 days, more than 150 wildfires broke out. And now there's around 5,000 firefighters fighting these blazes across the country.
That sounds awful. Daphne, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on that. That's journalist Daphne Tollis in Athens about the wildfires there. OK, well, thank you very much for your company this morning. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your company, but you don't want to go too far because coming up next we have the wonderful Tom and Emily, who are probably still debating who does well in exams.
Yeah.
Men, boys and girls, basically.
Boys did best, apparently, this year in the A-levels, so that's interesting.
I'm sure Tom might mention it a little bit. In any case, thank you for watching. Up next, Good Afternoon Britain with Tom and Emily. Here they are.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure the boys did all the harder subjects as well, didn't they, Tom? You know, those boys, so clever, so clever. But we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to have Robert Jenrick on the show because he's been over in Cali and he's also been accused of xenophobia, so we've got a lot to talk to him about it.
And what on earth is the state of the British economy? Growth down, or by some measures, people are trying to spin that it's higher? Well, what we've seen is a bit of a drop, but we're debating it with two very opposing economists. What on earth is Rachel Reeves up to?
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Any early showers across the southeast, soon easing away, but some thundery downpours expected across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. But for all, it is set to be another warm day ahead. Now, a Met Office yellow thunderstorm warning has been issued across Scotland, Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. We could see some quite heavy downpours here, some thundery downpours with some frequent lightning and also some hail. So do keep an eye out on the forecast for here. But elsewhere, we'll start to see some cloudier skies across Wales, central parts of England, the best of the sunshine across the southeast, where we'll reach highs of around 29 degrees Celsius. Into the evening, some of these heavy thundery showers could persist for a while, particularly across the far northeast of Scotland as they move their way into the Northern Isles, starting to turn quite cloudy too, particularly around coastal areas. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, still a chance we could see some thundery showers here. They won't really ease away until through the course of the night. But elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be a mostly dry and pleasant end to the day, particularly across the south where we'll see mostly clear skies. It is set to be another quite mild and muggy night, though, particularly once again across southern areas. Many towns and cities not really dropping much past the mid to high teens. And something else we'll notice as we head further into the morning is that we're starting to drag in some low cloud across the north, starting to move into parts of Scotland, northern parts of England. A chance we could see some mist and fog across central areas. So it may be a little bit of a murky start and mild start to the day too. Then into Friday to finish off the week. Once again, some low cloud, eventually lifting and breaking, but it may linger for a time, particularly across the northeast of Scotland, northeastern parts of England, where it may just be thick enough to produce some showers. But in the west, central areas of England and parts of the southeast, plenty of sunshine and temperatures up by a degree or two once again, highs reaching around 31, but much cooler under cloudier skies.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks to see how you can win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 12 o'clock on Thursday, the 14th of August. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Emily Carver.
Now, the former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has said that the scrapping of a plan to house asylum seekers in a Hampshire town centre is a victory for the British people. So, is this the beginning of a people-powered domino effect? And are we now going to see more migrant accommodation closing down?
Well, we've seen successful protests in the past at RAF Scampton and, of course, at Linton-on-Ouse in Yorkshire. So it could well be that people power is the way forward.
I've just spent 48 hours in northern France. I wanted to see what's going on up close.
I'm Robert. I'm from England. Why do you want to go to England?
Well, that's the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick. He's posted a cinematic video of his experience observing migrants and people smugglers in northern France. That as those protests continue outside migrant hotels. We're speaking to him later.
And tomorrow, the Donald will meet with Vladimir Putin for crunch peace talks. Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer welcomes the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, to number 10 this very morning.
A big hug there for Zelensky by Keir Starmer outside 10 Downing Street. But is Donald Trump listening and watching? Will he do a deal that supports Ukraine's territorial sovereignty when he meets with Vladimir Putin tomorrow in Alaska?
And it's a big congratulations to those celebrating today. Top A-level results have reached a record high despite attempts to curb grade inflation. So are children getting cleverer these days, or are exams getting easier? And apparently, the boys have beaten the girls.
Well, there were a lot of happy faces here at this school in Lichfield. They achieved 100% pass rate, but is there a regional disadvantage? We'll be delving into those figures and, of course, giving you the reaction from pupils.
We're here at Wilberforce Sixth Form College in Hull, where there's been a real mixture between A-levels, T-level results and BTEC results. We've been speaking to students about what their steps are next in the future.
Elsewhere, British economic growth has slowed down, following